This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
A vast universe exists within and beyond our reality. What we realize with our five senses is but a tiny fraction of all that is real. Welcome to the World Beyond radio show. I'm Joe Weigant, your guide and advocate, as we remove the blinders of our everyday lives and experience together all that exists out there in the world beyond our world. Welcome to the show today, folks. We've got an exciting lineup today. This hour, we're going to be talking to Brian Dessauer. Brian Dessauer is a practitioner of tuning fork therapy, and his bio reads as such. For as long as I could remember, I could feel something in my hands when I touched things. Over time, I came to understand this as a connection of life or energy. I began to research universal energy, chi, sun gazing, and such. Over many years of experiments and research, I came to the conclusion that we, humans, are an energy being housed in a body. As an energy being that can move with all energy, be it plants or animals or other people. Energy for me became most fluid with sound vibration, that of rattles, Native American flutes, hand drums, and such. I was looking for a modality to convey energy through sound that heals, and had success with the flute and drum. I had just finished a book called The Return of the Bird Tribes by Carey, and over the next few days I really began to hear energy and frequencies and not just feel them. The tones and pitches were clear and resounding, much like a tuning fork. And after these experiences, I began to research into tuning fork therapy. Brian is now a certified level 1 tuning fork practitioner, and he has some upcoming speaking engagements where he will be talking about energy and vibration and healing and tuning fork therapy. And we are just excited to have him on the show today. Brian, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm phenomenal. It's great to be here.
You know, I've been saying for years, and I've been trying to convey the message on the show that we are nothing but a vibrational expression of the frequency of energy, and that everything around us is also an expression of vibration and energy. And I had actually just last year had looked into going into the same tuning fork therapy program that you just graduated from. So this is going to be very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything is energy. And as I begin to study more, it goes outside of just us and what we see and hear and walk and feel and interact with. Vibration goes even beyond our atmosphere into the universe, the lights, the stars, everything that we see that seems so distant to us is still registering as energy. And, it goes beyond just our plane. It goes clear into the upper atmospheres and the space into the universe. It's if you think of it from a perspective of energy, it's everywhere. It's always vibrating. We are energetic beings interacting with the energy of everything that we see, hear, and feel, and even that which we can't see, hear, and feel. We're affected by sound and vibration.
You know, and most people think that the air between us is just empty and it's nothing. But if you look at even just the chemical composition of the atmosphere between two people, It's made up of, 13 or 14 different elements or whatever, and each of those is an atom that is vibrating with tiny particles that are basically, pure energy. And so even the space between people, or the space between a person and a tree or a car or a desk or something, that is just as solid as the desk or the tree or the person, because it's made up of the same atomic structure.
Yeah, I've adapted a kind of thing that I've used my whole life as I've worked into this energy arena. And that's, when I enter into a room or a building or a space, I kind of become a thermostat to help balance and register the whole area with a positive aura, with a positive energy, and to help correct things that are out of balance. So, it's like the thermostat that you move and you're always for hot and cold. It's the same thing. If you can develop the mentality of an energetic being, and and tuning forks is one way that really helps balance that whole thing through the sound they create.
A lot of people experience what you're talking about because there are a lot of people out there who are empathic and can pick up on emotional energy that is emanated by people in the room. So if there are people who are sad or depressed or angry, they can also pick up on those things. I want to get into that a whole lot more when we come back from our break. Folks, you're listening to the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm Joe Weigant, and this hour we are speaking to Brian Dessauer on tuning fork therapy. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, Old Florida cuisine at its best.
If you're a seeker, don't miss the inspiring book Shamanic Awakening, Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Cochran's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers throughout the Americas. Sandy's initiations across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt, combined with her knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth, influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private readings, sacred international journeys, a meditative CD, and her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate your earth walk and create a deeper connection to yourself. Find this and more at her website, starwalkervisions.com.
Welcome back, folks. Thanks for tuning in. This is the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant. And this hour, we're talking to Brian Dessauer, and we're discussing vibration and frequency of energy and tuning fork therapy. So, Brian, how are human beings affected by sound?
Well, there's two ways that people are affected by sound that I've kind of compartmentalized, so it's just an easy structure to follow. There's a passive way that we're affected by sound, and there's an active way that we're affected by sound. So I'll talk first about the passive way. What you have to understand is that we only see about 3% of the light spectrum, okay? And 97% of that invisible light that we can't see, it's called electromagnetic light. So within electromagnetic light range, there's wavelengths, and those wavelengths are called radio waves. Are you following me?
I got you.
Okay, so what is just so cool is that light and sound exist within the same spectrum. We have a tendency to separate them. Well, this is light and this is a radio. It's all this. They all exist in the same spectrum. Now, those wavelengths, those sound waves, they all have a vibration. When you turn on your radio in your car, you hear it. And, those radio waves go through your house when you turn on your radio. The radio waves pass through everything, that vibration, that energy, that frequency. Now, unless, of course, you live in a vacuum tube. If you live in a vacuum tube, no radio waves are going to get to you. So if you live in a vacuum tube, don't ask for a sound therapy session because it's just not going to work. But how it affects your body is that these frequencies are measured in megahertz. And frequencies in megahertz, what's interesting is we vibrate at a resonant frequency. And there's our whole being that vibrates at a frequency, but also our cells, our DNA, our backbone vertebrae, the bones within our hands, the cells within our hands, they all have their own frequency, their own megahertz. So everything vibrates. So how does it passively sound affect us? Just by being present and alive, you're being affected by energy and sound waves. Okay, so that's one way how you're being passively affected. The other way how you're actively affected with sound is it's through your ear. What happens is your ear takes sound waves, sound energy, and converts it to mechanical energy. Okay, and inside the inner ear, there's this thing called an autoconia, and it's responsible for balance and all that kind of thing. But what's cool is that it has a piezoelectrical effect. Okay, now what a piezoelectrical effect is it takes mechanical energy and converts it into electrical energy or DC energy that flows through our body. It's measurable. So, okay, here's an example. If I had a quartz crystal and I took a hammer, which is mechanical energy, and I wrapped that quartz crystal lightly, not smash it, just lightly. That's mechanical energy. A quartz crystal will turn that into electrical energy. That's measurable. You can actually put a DC meter on it, and you can read mechanical energy into electrical energy. Okay, that's the piezo effect of the quartz crystal. So inside of our inner ear, that autoconia that's responsible for balance and all that good stuff, it has a piezo electrical response like a quartz crystal. Okay, now what's cool is inside our brain, in the very center of our brain, there's this thing called a pineal gland. Most people have heard about it. But what most people don't know is inside the pineal gland are crystals.
Isn't
you believe that?
Yes, I
there's
do.
There's calcite crystals inside the pineal gland. Okay. Now, if the calcite crystals, they resemble and look and respond under a microscope just like the inner ear, the autoconia, that has the piezoelectricity effect. So think about this for a minute. If I took a tuning fork that is generating energy, sound, at a megahertz or frequency that your body needs, and I put that right to your ear, that is mechanical energy, that vibration. It is going into your inner ear, and then from your inner ear, it's being converted from mechanical energy to electrical energy that then goes up into your brain. The piezo effect of the pineal gland, calcite crystals, then that goes through your whole body. So that's active way. You're intentionally listening to a frequency or megahertz that is going into your body, not just through your body like a radio wave station that you're listening to. So sound affects us in so many different ways. And there's passive and passive and active. And so we take advantage of the sound therapy session with using both ways. Tuning fork session can be a no touch where it's just working over your electromagnetic field with the aura and that kind of thing, or it can be active where you're hearing it and it's intentionally going throughout your body. And I utilize both ways during a session.
I've been teaching and lecturing on the exact same thing for years now about how quartz crystals are in every piece of electronics that we have out there, from your wristwatch to your cell phone to your laptops to your television. Anything that has a clock in it or has to rely on a clock has a quartz crystal in it because it vibrates at a frequency which is near 1 second. And, the idea that, we have quartz crystals in all of our electronics, amazes some people, but that's exactly how they work, is by converting energy and emanating energy at certain frequencies.
Yeah. And to think that there's, that same effect in your inner ear and then crystals in your pineal gland, when I came across that, it just blew my mind. I went, what? There's crystals in my brain?
It's all atoms, man. It's all atoms. And everything vibrates at different frequencies. I even read an article a few years ago that said that they are able to measure the frequency of emotional responses. And so our own emotions not only are can they affect us in a subliminal way, but our emotions actually have atomic weight. They actually vibrate at certain frequencies and can affect our body in very real physical ways. And, with your therapy that you're doing, you're able to affect those emotional responses to tune those frequencies back to something that's more healthful.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different ailments and things that are really helped with sound therapy. I've ran into during sessions, I ask my clients to review the session and kind of debrief, whether it's in paper or we talk, and sleep disorders, anxiety, and the list just goes on and on. Depression, pain, pain was a huge one. My mom's got arthritis in her hands, and she had frostbite when she was young. She's, one of those stories going home from school and it was snowing type thing. But her arthritis in her left hand, it's you can see the bulbs of the arthritis on her fingers, and she hasn't been able to make a fist or pick up or hold anything for years. And she was over here at the house, and I had my tuning forks, and I was kind of showing her. It's been a while ago now, and I said, "No, let's do this." So I picked up my ohm tuning fork and wrapped it and just placed the stem at various points throughout her fingers, the pressure points, and the knuckles and the bends and that kind of thing. And we did that for a little. She could feel the vibration of the tuning fork, going down the stem and into the bones and all that kind of thing. And we do that for 15, 20 minutes. Just, we talked while I was doing it. It's painless. It's fun. It's kind of cool. And so she lives, a little bit of distance away from me. And she got home and she called me and she goes, "I can't believe this. I was gripping the steering wheel on the way home." I said, "Wow, well, that's great." I said, "How's the pain?" And she goes, "It's better, but it's still there." So then, I said, "Okay, well, keep me updated." I hung up. I didn't think too much about it, scrolling on Facebook and that kind of thing. About 2 hours later, my phone rings again. It's Mom. "So what's up, Mom?" She goes, "I can make a fist now. I haven't made a fist in years. I can hold things in with my left." She was like, she wasn't just, giving me a general comment. She was like, "You don't understand. I can make a fist." I said, "Well, that's cool, Mom." So then, a little while later, a few days later, she calls and she goes, I'm picking up things, and we just moved to a different house. I'm packing boxes, all with this hand I haven't been able to use." And it's just how the frequencies and the megahertz work to affect the body. And they've got studies now. I've got documented in my books that the vertebrae in your backbone, each vertebrae has their own resonant frequency. So when I do back work, say if you're, "Oh, my L3 has been killing me, the chiropractor, blah, blah, blah." So, okay, well, here's the thing. That L3's got its own frequency. So I just grabbed me a tuning fork at the same frequency, and I wrap that thing, and I put it right there by the backbone, and what it causes is a sympathetic response. If, when you kink your back, you're messing up the nerve endings and all that kind of stuff. But think about this. What's going through all of those nerves? Energy. That energy can't get to that vertebrae, and that vertebrae can't vibrate the way it's supposed to and function at its proper frequency to make everything work. So when I take that tuning fork and put it up there, that backbone, that vertebrae goes, "Oh, yeah, that's how I'm supposed to work." And it just initiates the healing process and lets the body do its thing. And there's so many other things involved with tuning fork therapy as far as everything that it can treat. It's wow.
I read a story in a book that I have on vibrational healing, and the guy had visited an indigenous tribe of people somewhere in South America, and one of the young men in the tribe had returned from a trip, and he had broken the bone in his lower leg, his tibia. And so what happened was the elderly ladies of the tribe all gathered around him, and they put their hands on him like I would do if I'm doing a Reiki session. They put their hands on his leg, and they started toning. And some would whistle, and some would hum, and some would make different sounds. And the vibration that they created, the author of the story said he actually physically saw the bone pop back into place because it was actually sticking out of the skin. And the bone popped back in place and started mending itself up, and the skin sealed itself shut. And by the time that they were finished, it was practically healed, and he was walking on it the next day. So that's the kind of thing that can happen just from vibration therapy. And that's fascinating to me.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to take a
Yeah,
break here for just a few seconds, and when we come back, we'll
Sure.
talk a lot more about vibration and healing and health and all that. Folks, you're listening to the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and this hour we are talking to Brian Dessauer about vibrational therapy and tuning forks and how they heal. Stay tuned, folks.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the four corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
Welcome back to the World Beyond Radio Show. Thank you for tuning in, folks. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and this hour we are talking to Brian Dessauer about tuning fork therapy and vibrational healing. You know, there's a specific scientific phenomenon known as entrainment, and the principle goes that if two frequencies are met, a lower frequency and a higher frequency, that one of three things can happen. Either the higher frequency will slow down to meet the lower frequency, which is rare. The lower frequency will speed all the way up to the higher frequency, which is also somewhat rare. Or the most common effect is that the lower frequency and the higher frequency will then meet somewhere a little bit higher than the meeting play, or the median point, or the middle place between those two frequencies. So in Reiki or any other kind of energetic therapies, we talk about entrainment in the fact that you're introducing a higher frequency energy to a low frequency system and raising that frequency up so that way it can start to heal again. Is this the kind of thing that happens with tuning forks as well?
Absolutely. One of the techniques that I utilize at the very beginning of the session is, you take one tuning fork and another tuning fork of different frequencies, but that don't make your skin curl when they're playing at the same time. You're going to wrap both tuning forks and hold one in one ear and one in the other ear, or close to it, And what that actually does is those two sound waves, as it goes into the brain, those sound waves meet, and it's actually measurable as a beat when the sound waves hit, and that is entrainment is exactly what tuning fork therapy does. So you've got a response on two levels. You've got the response of the tones and the frequencies going into the body through the ear and through the brain, as well as the sounds on the outside of the body going through your system, as well as the binaural beat of the frequencies when they meet. It creates a resonant frequency that can be measured in time, like a drum, for example.
Yeah, there are CDs out there that you can play on headphones that will create a binaural beats type system, that one tone will be on one side and one tone will be on the other, and they can meet in the middle and create the same kinds of effects.
Absolutely. You could jump on your app store right now and download a frequency generator that you put in your earbuds and listen to it. And I have I've got a group of people that, are in the early stages of, trying this whole thing out with vibrations and tuning forks. They were kind of my rabbits, my guinea pigs. And, I had some of them use the digital, over a live tuning fork frequency. And, we had good results with the digital downloads through earbuds. And, but when you put the two groups together, the group that had live therapy with an actual tuning fork, or my Native American flute, or my drum, you've got the digital versus the live, and the ones that actually participated in a session and went through the therapy, it just seemed to work better and hold longer than the digital. But I'm not discounting the digital by any means. But on the other hand, if you've got the option to participate in a live session, that really seems to have a longer standing and a quicker effect than digital.
Oh, I agree. I think anytime that you're actually one-on-one with a person and exchanging energy or getting that one-on-one physical contact with a person, I think that's always a lot more effective and more conducive to healing than just trying to play sounds on a recorder or do something with earbuds or whatever.
Well, if something's better than nothing, but live is better than anything.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah,
If all you have is to be able to download an app or something on your earbuds and meditate, then, if that's what you have, then, that's a great place to start. But I think having a real live therapist who's trained in something like you are, I think that really helps to accelerate the healing process.
Yeah. Well, the advantage of a live session is that, when I go through and I begin to evaluate the energy of a person, which you can do with tuning forks. It's real simple, actually, for me. When I'm going through and I'm evaluating the chakras, the meridian pathways, or field around a person, right now I'm not talking about working on arthritis or fibromyalgia. I'm talking about working on the general overall energy of a person. When I'm using those tuning forks, I can evaluate where the energy is stagnant or where it's not flowing, and I can because each chakra, each meridian pathway has its own frequency, and I change my tuning forks according to which energy chakra I'm working on. And what happens is as I'm going down the field with these different tuning forks, I get a response from the energy field around it as well as from the chakra, and I can tell whether that's blocked or it's moving, or whether you go from the crown, you get the brow, and then you get to the neck, and all of a sudden things are real muddy feeling. And I can see, because when I wrap that tuning fork, I can feel that vibration in the stem. And as I move it over the body in different techniques, I can feel that vibration in the stem, whether it's real muddy feeling or it's readily accepting that vibration, or whether there's no acceptance, And therefore the evaluation of a person's energy is so much easier with the tuning forks during a live session. And so what's awesome is that, you can begin to work on cleaning and clearing that, because it's just like a highway. It's just like your blood. If your blood's not flowing from your head to your toe and back up, you're going to have a problem.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with energy. If your energy is not flowing from the 12 inches above your head, all the way down to 12 inches below your feet, and so you're going to have a problem. You're going to have emotional distress. You're going to have physical problems, because you are an energetic being that's housed in a body. And so if our energetic being is not flowing as it should, then you're going to have physical and emotional ailments based on your energetic response.
I couldn't agree more. I also, in my practice, can tell when energy is flowing into certain areas, or I can also look at people and I can just, whether I'm at the office or whatever, and I can say, okay, well, you've got a headache, or your knee is hurting, or your back is hurting, because I can see that energy, and I can feel that pain, and I can recognize that in other people, the same way you're doing whenever you're working with the tuning forks.
Yeah, it's just a different modality, but it's the same thing.
Absolutely, but it's the same thing. It's the difference between driving a car and driving a truck. It still rides the highways and still gets you to work. It just depends on what modality you're using to get to health.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, whenever you're working with tuning forks, is there some kind of a protocol that you use with a particular illness, or do you have a standard type of session protocol that you start, top to bottom, or use a particular fork in the same place at the same time, or is this something that you do intuitively, depending on what the person's indications are? Right.
The answer is yes. Yes to all the above. If you were a new client, you would have a client take-in form, and on that client take-in form, it says, there is the whole question for you suffer from depression, you suffer from anxiety, and there's a whole category as well as physical ailments. Now, what's cool is as you circle things as you go through, I've got those in small print inside brackets as to according to what chakras may be imbalanced or not moving correctly. So as you're going through, yeah, I got headaches, yeah, I can't sleep, I can't relax, my mood is terrible. As you're going through and circling these, I'm connecting those to chakras. I'm connecting those to energy. I'm connecting that to your energy being. And from that information, which is the baseline, that's so from that baseline, then I kind of go through an interview and talk and, kind of get an idea what's going on physically, so I can move that into the energetic being as well. Because you can't just throw an aspirin at pain. You've got to find out why is the energy not moving to that area. So, I go through with my client taking form and as the baseline, and then the next thing I do is I'm just going to do an evaluation, and I'm going to go through and confirm what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling or what I'm seeing. And then if you look at me and you say, hey, I've got some serious arthritis in this area, or my back hurts in this area, well, at that point now, once I'm through the evaluation and balancing the energy, then I'm going to move toward the actual active or placement of a tuning fork stem with the vibrations on those places. So, and then of course there's, I had a gal who her crown chakra was just like crazy nuts. I mean, it was just way out of balance. Well, when you've got one area that is way out of balance, all your energy, if all your blood was going to your head and staying in your head, your feet would have a problem.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with energy. If all the energy is focused on her crown, well, she's going to have more than likely digestive problems, because the energy is not moving through to the lower extremities of the body, to the middle and to the lower. And come to find out that there we are, issues. So, yes, it's an intuitive thing with the tuning forks, because I can feel the vibration and how the field in the body is absorbing that. It's also mechanical with the client taken form for the baseline, and as well as how the body receives it. So the answer to that is yes, it's all of that.
Now, how does tuning fork therapy have a tendency to start bringing up some emotional clogging or some emotional things that are causing physical problems? Can that bring up some of those issues and allow them to be released?
I haven't done enough to run into emotion as far as during a session. During a session, I haven't ran into, I'm feeling this is being brought up. But what I have ran into is after the session, when their body is grounding and things are kind of coming back, because after a session you're kind of drifting,
Absolutely.
When your body is debriefing with your being.
I'm going to get right back to that in just a few minutes. We have to cut away to a break. You're listening to the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant, and we're going to be right back with Brian Dessauer in just a few minutes. Stay tuned, folks.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? I'm Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and on The Secret to Everything, we will merge the practical with open investigation into all realms of the mysterious. We will talk to cutting-edge alternative health practitioners, those who inspire and motivate you in business and life, and of course, we will share stories of the paranormal, conspiracy, and cryptozoology. You will transform because of the frequency I carry, the frequencies my guests carry. Life may never be the same after you listen to this program, for the secret to everything is for you, the listener, for those who desire more in every area of their lives and believe that it can still be found. Listen and discover thesecrettoeverything.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back to the World Beyond Radio Show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant. And as always, our show is being produced and brought to you by the ever-expanding leader in New Age, paranormal, alternative health, and supernatural programming, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and Relmar McConnell Media Company at their headquarters and master control in Ontario, Canada. To learn more about the World Beyond, your host, or a wealth of other amazing radio shows and their hosts, please go to www.xzbn.net. To contact me to inquire about being a guest on the show, or for more information, you may email me at Joe Weigant, that's Joe, WEIGANT, at xzbn.net. You can always visit my websites, paranormalpeace.com or reikichoice.com. I can also be found on Facebook. Our guest this hour, Brian Dessauer, can be reached by email at sacredsound@angelic.com. Brian, when we left off, we were talking about chakras and energy and emotions. Can we go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. What I was talking about is we were talking about how do I have any emotional response during a session, and I was recalling how more people that I've run into at this point are their bodies are debriefing with their energy being later after the session, and I've had multiple occasions where people have related to me how their dreams are more fluid and very vivid and lucid, and where they're recalling things that their history that their energy being is working through with their body as they sleep in a dream state. And I have seen more of that than I have emotional manifestations during the practice of memories being recalled and that kind of thing actually during the session itself. It seems to be that the body has to process the energy, and your energy being moves afterward to bring forth things that are blocking.
I also agree. I've seen that in my practice as well. Can you go into a little bit about how the chakras and the energies and the emotions and the frequencies all affect health and well-being?
Absolutely. If you don't think in terms of energy, and if you think in terms of physicalities, where physical, my hand hurts, my head hurts. In our culture is just like, let's grab some goodies, grab some aspirin, let's do this and let's do that, and basically we're just, numbing the neurons so we don't feel the pain, and then when that wears off, we go and do it again. But the problem is with that, there are physical issues of pain. You can't just everything related. If I fall off a ladder and I break my arm, well, what caused that? Falling off the ladder. But on the other hand, there are things that in our life that as we live our life that we experience that cause emotional distress and emotional trauma. And that embeds itself because here's the thing with a negative experience, okay, is it creates an electrical memory that is there in our brain. When you recall something, you're not actually pulling out a file. You're bringing the electrical memory, bringing it back into your mind, and therefore all the emotions of that swell back up. I've got a radio station I listen to, and this is what they say. They play memories, not music. Right? And they play memories, not music. And me being an 80s guy, I have a lot of memories with what they're calling it classic music. I'm like, it's not classic oldies. What are you talking about? This is 80s, So anyway, when you listen to a song and you're like, oh, I remember I was roller skating there and, the scale and all, but you're bringing back that emotional response to remembering. And all of that is inside of our energetic being and our mind. So when we have things like negative emotions, music and memories, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, right? Well, the bad stuff is filed away just like the good stuff. And, that can create blockages in our energy. For example, the revolving thoughts that people have when they lay down at night to go to sleep. They can't get their brain off of work, off of something that happened in the day, or something that happened through the end of the week, or whatever. You've got that revolving door of thought, that just keeps going around and around and around. Well, what is that? That is your energetic being saying, hey, we've got an issue here. We can't do what we need to do when your body sleeps to repair itself because of what's going on. And that's just one example. You can be driving down the road listening to some or not even have the radio on, and just out of the blue, this thing comes to your mind. And it's something that happened to you with whoever way back when. Those are all energetic responses from your being saying, hey, we've got an issue that we really need to work through. And tuning fork therapy can really help establish that through chakra evaluation where things are blocked and out of balance, and can really get you to a place where your body and your energetic being are ready to work together, instead of like what's going on with the revolving thoughts and the depression and attention deficit disorder and the headaches and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I tell a lot of people during classes and during a session with clients that we feel our emotions in our gut. When you're scared, you feel it in your gut. When you're angry or you're heartbroken, you feel it in your gut. And that happens to be where 70% of our immune system is located. So if you're putting all this energy, this fear and worry and regret and guilt and all these negative energies into a place where your body's supposed to be trying to heal itself, you're going to compromise that. And we have so many diseases now that are prevalent, fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis and eczema and some of these other things that are systemic autoimmune system response diseases. And it's caused by the fact that we are housing these emotions here and not dealing with them properly. And I think things like Reiki and tuning fork therapy are really essential to help get those emotions back in line and get that immune system kicked back up into gear again, so it can start to heal the body.
Absolutely. There's one little facet to this that you mentioned during my bio, and that was grounding, earth grounding, actually taking off your shoes and socks and making contact with the earth. Our body produces, say, let's just pull a number. Say you need 75 energy to work to do your normal day. Your body is used to, okay, today I need this much energy. Out of habit, it knows I need this much energy for the day. Well, let's say you have an easy day at work and you don't use that 75, you only use 50 of it. Okay, you follow me? So
Yes.
What happens to that unused energy? What happens, that unused energy, it's stored, but it's not stored in a way that you can use it. And it eventually, if there's no way for that energy to leave the body, it becomes toxic. And it becomes stagnant, and it begins to clog our system. Now, here's the deal. We wear rubber shoes. We broke our ground to the earth, which is how the earth is one polarity, we're another polarity. When our feet hit the earth, they're designed, by design, to pull that unused toxic energy, stagnant energy, out of our system. And after World War II, we broke the seal when we went from leather to rubber. And so there's also this factor of that releasing that energy, back into the ground. And I created a grounding station, so in the middle of winter, I can, of course I use tuning forks on myself. Of course, and then, after a session, I'll just take my feet off and I'll slip them down into that nice warm dirt that's connected to a ground rod that's drove into the earth. And, I can feel energy, unused, stagnant, toxic energy moving to my body. My feet begin to tingle, and my calves begin to tingle, and I know that old energy is leaving, and that's just as important as grounding. Is just when you're in any kind of energy field. There's two things from my perspective you really, really have to have. Plenty of water given to a client. You got to replenish the water in the system, because that's how electricity flows through. Water's a great conduction. We're almost all water, and then physically, and then on the other side we're an electric being. So you put those two together, what do you got? And then the other thing, and the other thing is grounding. grounding is so important. Now, I've coupled that with sun gazing as well, which just affects the pineal gland and the calcification of the pineal gland, and it's all energy. And these are all minor steps that I've taken to get me where I am today. I discovered earthing and grounding, and discovered sun gazing, and then kind of moved into more of the energy stuff, and then ended up with the modality of tuning forks, as well as my shaman drum and my Native American flute.
Well, I've had a tremendous amount of fun this hour, and I can't wait to have you back on the show again to talk more and more about this kind of therapy. Folks, you have been listening to the World Beyond Radio show. I'm your host, Joe Weigant. This has been a great time, and I hope you come back and see us again. Have a great day, folks.